Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Today is what? November 14th. We're halfway through this month, y'all. We are halfway through this month actually tomorrow we will be officially halfway through this month. So here you are because yesterday was November 1st. Today is November 14th. That is how time goes. That is how time flies. And tomorrow will be officially halfway through this month. We don't have time for nonsense around here. We're going to talk about that this morning. So good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Energize Life. And this is where we make magic in the mornings. This is where we have great conversations in the mornings. We've been doing this now. This is episode like 247 or something. And if you show up here to do personal development and have deep conversations at 6:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, you are someone that I want to hang out with because you're a person who knows the power of the community and knows the power of the conversations that you're having and wants to intentionally and deliberately surround yourself with high vibe conversations. You also are really good with sometimes being yelled at in the morning because sometimes I get very passionate very early in the morning. I haven't even had my Energize and I can get very passionate in the morning. And you're also someone who's okay with that because likely you too are passionate about what you are doing and creating and building in your life. So we're going to make a little Energize here. And I did not get my ice. So listen, I'm about one to turn the heat on this morning. So tell me what your weather is, where you are right now. Tell me in the comments while I get some ice, and we'll talk about that for a minute. Okay, I'm using my black cup today because I saw Black Panther Wakanda Forever last night. We can even talk about that. It is 30 degrees in Washington, D.C. You know, my daughter lives in D.C. So, that's unfortunate for her. So sad, Virginia. That is just unfortunate. Cloudy and 42. First of all, the cloudy right there. 28. Very chilly, 24 degrees. No, absolutely not. Just absolutely not. No. 1 a.m. at Hawaii time. Oh my gosh. What are you doing up at 1 a.m.? And it's 76 degrees. We all need to go to Hawaii. That definitely, I've been to Hawaii one time in my life. It's definitely on my bucket list to go back. It's the clouds for me, right? It is the clouds for me. Lorraine, you know what else you could do? You could move. Lorraine lives on the East Coast and she's a big Disney fan. And her daughter's down here. So, I'm just saying, you could buy a light or you could move. I don't know which one's more cost effective, but I know which one's going to help you the most in the long run. So I'm using this black cup this morning because we did see Wakanda Forever last night. Okay, tell me this in the comments. Who saw Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever over the weekend? Who went to go see it? Who went to go see Wakanda Forever? Wakanda Forever. So I'm using my black cup today for it. I wish I had a Black Panther cup. I don't have one. Did anyone go see it over the weekend? And if you didn't, why? Why would you not go see it over the weekend? I don't understand. What are you doing? Why do people not go see movies? Kirsten saw it. All right. And first of all, Kirsten, you and I, we are not going to, there will be no spoilers. I really believe that. Have you ever noticed, too, that when I go to any of the parks here at Disney, when I go to any of the parks, I do a lot of outside stuff. Have you ever noticed that I never do video inside a ride or inside, I don't know that I don't do it inside a show. I don't do it inside a ride. Have you ever noticed that? Because I really want you to experience the magic yourself. So I would never give you a spoiler on a movie because I really want you to experience the magic of whatever it is yourself. So I'm never going to give you any spoilers. I'm never going to give you any hints. I'm only going to tell you that if you have not gone to see Wakanda Forever, you need to buy your ticket right now, and you need to go for so many reasons. For so many reasons. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a drink first. It's so good. I don't know, how are you starting your day without this? So good. You need to go see this movie for so many reasons. Number one, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's going to hit you in the feels. It's a good movie. I felt really satisfied coming out of this movie. Especially, I loved Black Panther. When Chadwick Boseman passed away, I was so incredibly sad. I was talking to my husband about this. This is a human being, Chadwick Boseman, the actor in Black Panther. This is a human being I was never going to meet in my life. I'd never met him. I was never going to meet him. I was so sad. I felt like, I really felt like a family member, someone that I knew had passed away. And I don't know if it was the cancer, and of course I lost my dad to cancer. My dear friend had lost her husband to cancer. There's just the whole cancer. That, I don't know if it was the fact that he was so young. I don't know what it was, but I was so sad when he passed away. And this movie, Wakanda Forever, it was just such a beautiful piece. It was just such a beautiful closure piece to all of it. So if you did see Black Panther, go see Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. Go see it also because it is a movie led by people of color. And if we want more inclusion, diversity, and such in the movie industry, we actually have to go to the movies and show that we want that by spending money. If you want to see all the beautiful faces and cultures that are actually in this world, fictional and non-fictional, you have to put your money where your mouth is and go see it. Okay? So it's a movie led by people of color, including what I think is, and don't quote me on this, do not quote me on this, but I feel like I heard this, and so I'm saying it, but we need to do some research on it. I believe the first Hispanic, I don't even know what to call him, just major character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe I heard him say that there is a Hispanic character, major character in this movie, and I think it's the first Hispanic one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you double check me on that. The movie is led by people of color. We need more of that. You have to go put your money and support that. And the movie is led by a female, and it's led by so many badass females. Like, I literally want to, my friend Erin and I were talking last night, I'm like, I need a sword wielding workout. Can we put together a sword wielding? I need to know how to wield a sword, and I need to have a workout that's going to teach me how to wield this sword. And thank you. He's Mexican. Yes, the antagonist. So he's the other major character, and I think it's the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has happened. So there's another reason to go see the movie, and also just a lot of very, very fierce females, and I need a sword wielding workout on body. And yes, I need that. I need it to be a double-edged sword, and I need to basically I just need to have a sword wielding workout. Clearly that's going to need to happen at home because these women are so freaking fierce. Like, not only did I leave inspired, but I left going, I need to level up my workout a little bit. I need to level up. I need to be in maybe a little bit better shape. So, which is, I'm kidding. It's just, it was just so fun. So I'm just telling you on this Monday morning, that if you have not seen it, please go see it for so many reasons, Here's the thing, I think of it in terms of, and I'm not perfect at this, but I say it to remind myself of it as well. You have to support what you want. I think about that always in terms of the town that I live in. So when we lived in Indiana, when certain arts organizations, or there would be events, or whatever their opportunities, when stuff would happen, I would think to myself, well, I have to support this, whether it's convenient for me or whether I want to go or whatever, because I want to live in a town that has XYZ, right? Whatever happened to me. I want to live in a town that has theater on the regular, right? So that meant I needed to put my money where my mouth is, and I bought season tickets to the Broadway season when we were in Indiana because I want to live in a town that has theater. I want to live in a town that has really flourishing, vibrant arts situations, arts opportunities. So I have to support that because I want to live in a town that has that. So I have to support that. You can't just say you want the thing, but then not actually support the thing, right? So I want to see movies led by badass women. I have to support the movies that are led by badass women. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, fulfills that. Go see it. Okay, now let's talk about Monday morning. I just did a DDRT on this. I just did a Daily Dose of Real Talk on this. I think about this a lot on Mondays. So today, wow, this is interesting because it happened over this weekend. Today is the 1-year anniversary of my husband being retired. I mean, turning in his letter to retire happened a year ago today. His official retirement didn't happen until I think May 1st of this year. But a year ago today, my husband turned in his letter to retire from coaching football. And the years prior to that, the few years prior to that, including the pandemic years, whatever, he had really lost his love due to a lot of reasons that we're not going to go into. He lost his love, and it was really hard to watch someone who was literally put here on this earth to mentor young men through the game of football, mentor young men to be better humans through the game of football. It was really hard to watch someone lose their passion for that. And then it got to the point where what you're not changing, you're choosing. And a year ago today, he turned in his letter of retirement. And here we are a year later, been in Florida now, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 8 months. At the end of November will be 9 months. And, you know, as hard as that was to watch him go through that transition from going to absolutely loving what you do every single day to dreading going to the office. I have been there. Anyone right now or watching on the replay later on Energize Live have experience where you dread going into your place of employment. I can remember, whether it's now or in the past or whatever, I can remember pulling in, and it's long enough ago now, and plus it's my story, I can talk about whatever I want. I remember pulling into the parking lot of Lifetime Fitness in Indianapolis I would get nauseous in my stomach, and I would literally have to take a deep breath. And I would go in, and it was like I would walk as fast as I could to the locker room, get my stuff, and I'd walk as fast as I could kind of to the office, and I would try to time it so I didn't have that much time, because once I got into my class, once I got to teaching in the Group X studio, I was fine. It was, it had nothing to do with my teaching or the humans that came to take my classes. It was everything else around. It was the group exercise director. It was the culture at that gym. It was that whole environment, like teaching the class, like I loved those people. Everything else around it, it was like, and I would be nauseous in the pit of my stomach. Listen, it took me a while to change that. And what I wasn't changing, I was choosing. I was living that. And that was where I was in my personal development journey. That was where I was in my belief in my self-worth. And because I've lived through that, and because I've watched my husband live through that, I'm so passionate about what you're not changing, you're choosing. If you're getting up on this Monday morning and you're not grateful for the fact that you woke up today and you're not excited about what you get to do today, what you're not changing, you're choosing. Now, listen, don't get it twisted. Sometimes the changing isn't the exact job or situation, right? Sometimes it's hard to make that change right away. You're a breadwinner for your family, you've got insurance, whatever. Sometimes you can't make that change right away. You can't just tomorrow go, okay, I'm done. Not everyone has a partner like my husband does that he could retire and we would be fine. Right? Okay, I've built this business on purpose because of that. You can't rely on a coaching job or a salary. I mean, we never knew what year he was going to get fired. You never know. You never know in coaching. So when I'm saying what you're not changing, you're choosing, I'm not saying, well, it's just go in and quit. Like, I know that that's not the case for everyone. So what you're not changing, you're choosing. What you're not changing in terms of your mindset, your perspective, your attitude, what you can control, you're choosing. So if you're going into a job that you don't love, if you're going into a job that doesn't excite you, if you're going into a job that feels negative or toxic, or you get that pit in your stomach when you go in, what can you change in that situation? Because if there are pieces that you can change, and there always are, what you can change, if you're not changing those pieces, then you're choosing them. And you're just living in that. Right? So I remember certainly I didn't, when I was at Lifetime and it was so toxic and I was so miserable some days. I didn't have any of this. I wasn't not with the Team Beachbody, soon to be Team Body Network. I didn't have the personal development. I was starting to get into it because I was a master trainer for Chalene Johnson. So I was starting to build that community that really helped me see beyond where I was. Chalene was the first person who really helped me see beyond. It's more than just teaching one class at a gym, right? She was the person she was my mentor and helped me see beyond and expand beyond in my thinking. But that was just kind of the beginning. I have dog hair on me. That was just kind of the beginning of it. And I didn't have this place to have this conversation like you do today, right? And so I was making some little tiny changes without even knowing that that's what I was doing in terms of getting in the parking lot right when right at the minute that would get me up to the studio and then into the classroom to teach without a whole lot of time around. And then I'd be like, okay, I gotta go after my class because I wanted to be in that toxic environment as little as possible. And that was a thing that I could change. That was a thing that I could choose, right? And it took me a while to understand that, because sometimes you get pulled into that toxicness. Sometimes you get pulled into it and then you get around a different community. You get in a different room. You start having different conversations and you realize what's happening over here is not the way you want to live your life, but what you're not changing, you're choosing. So you really have to take a look at, what can I change within this situation? If you can't make a definitive break change, what can you change? There's always so much more in our control than we give ourselves credit. What can you do at lunch? How can you set up your desk? Can you be wearing headphones? How do you set boundaries, and more boundaries? How do you just navigate the situation to create a better environment for you that you choose and you design, until said point that perhaps you can make a more definitive change? So I think sometimes when I say what you're not changing, you're choosing, people take that in as like, well, I just can't go in and quit tomorrow. I understand that. I understand that. However, there's probably pieces within your environment that you can change. And sometimes it's not even just in your work environment. Sometimes it's the masterminds and the communities and the conversations that you're having outside that work environment to change you, so that when you go back in, you better navigate that situation. Am I making any sense? Does this make any sense? This is like when I wake up on Mondays and I'm just like, I freaking love what I get to do every day. And especially on this Monday now, it's kind of that year anniversary for us. I just think this is so important that we understand we're not getting any of this time back. And if we're showing up to a job that we don't love, if we're showing up to a life that we don't love, and we're not actively working to change it, to change ourselves, then we're choosing that. And then we don't get to the end of our life and go, oh, I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Because you woulda, coulda, shoulda this entire time. You just didn't. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people get really busy. I don't even know how to explain this, but it's like they get busy. We all do it. We all do this. We get busy with like the things that make us look like we're doing the thing. We get busy with the things that make us feel like we're doing the thing. Okay, for example, I want to get better at my time management, or so I need to go to Target and I got to buy all the calendars. Okay, that's not actually getting better with time management. That's just going to Target and buying the calendars, right? I think we get that. That's what we do sometimes, and I think that's what, okay, I'm gonna get a coach, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna do this. I'm like, how about you just do something? How about you just do something? Something. I was listening to it's kind of a podcast yesterday, but it's actually on my Apple Watch, Apple Fitness. And on Apple Fitness, they do something called Time to Walk. And they're conversations with kind of inspiring people. And these people kind of talk about their life and they share music and songs that they like. And I was listening to Anthony Ramos yesterday. And he was in Hamilton and he was talking about how when he was getting back in shape and he was getting back into working out, there would be days he's like, man, I just can't do an hour-long workout today. And then he would talk to himself, his self-talk was like, okay, well, cool, go do 20 minutes. Because something's always better than nothing. And instead of being that person waking up this morning going, oh, I don't love my job, I don't love my life, I don't love what's happening here, and then thinking you have to change everything, but then really changing nothing, or you've got to get all the things in place to make a change. What if we just woke up today and go, I'm not loving what's happening here in my life, and what I'm not changing, I'm choosing, so let me make some small changes today. And then maybe tomorrow, let me make some other small changes. And let me focus on doing something rather than nothing, so that all these little tiny changes, they add up to something big. Rather than me talking about how I'm going to do the thing, and I'm tired of the thing, I'm going to do the thing. What if we just did something? What if you just did something? It doesn't mean you have to go in and retire from your 30-year coaching career. What if you just do something? And there'll be a time where perhaps that big of a decision is what's appropriate. Like there was no changing in my husband's environment. The change had to come from him completely making a break. We'd done everything we could to try to change this stuff. It was time to make the break and truly make the change. Because I couldn't watch him go to work anymore miserable, depressed. I couldn't. We couldn't do that anymore. That was not the life that we had planned to live, and that kind of change needed to happen. But that certainly didn't happen overnight, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been building a business for 13 at that point years that allowed us to make that change, right? Because I decided what I wasn't changing, I was choosing, and I no longer wanted someone to dictate my salary or my hours or how much time I got to spend with my kids. So I started building my life, our dreams. So when it got to the point where he was like, I need to make a change, we were ready because I'd been building it. Or you just kind of sit in the woulda, coulda, shoulda and don't do anything, and you get to the end of your life and wishing you would have. One last thing as you go into this Monday. I was listening to author, speaker Brendon Burchard this morning, on my Growth Day app that I listen to in the morning. He was talking about distraction. I've been talking about this and thinking about this a lot, this idea of distraction with a capital D. And he said, don't get it twisted, there's a difference between distraction and free time. Okay, so you're distracted. Suddenly, you go on social media to do something, and suddenly it's an hour and a half later. However, you get distracted, TV, whatever. And he said, let's say you are distracted for 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. In a week, that's 7 hours in a week. Now, remind you, this is distraction. This is not intentional free time. This is distraction, where you kind of wake up and you're like, wait, how did an hour go by? This is time not spent with purpose, right? There's no intentional purpose behind this. So let's say you're distracted for an hour a day. In a week, that's 7 hours. In a month, that's 28 hours of distraction. 28 hours of distraction. Like, he worked it all the way out to a year. Okay, he worked it, let's say you're distracted for an hour a day. He worked it all the way out to, if that happens over the course of a year. Nina, wasn't that so good? If you work that all the way out through the course of the year, you lose 2 out of the 12 months a year to distraction. Take that in for a moment. 2 out of 12 months a year you lose to distraction. 2, wasn't that correct, Nina? 2 months out of the year that you don't get back, that you're not moving closer to your goals and dreams, that you aren't creating the life that you want to create on purpose with purpose. 2 months out of 12 that you lose to distraction. If that doesn't gut check you, I don't know what does. So kind of bringing this all together, you're waking up on this Monday morning. If you're not loving what you're doing, and because you're not loving what you're doing, you're hitting snooze. I said it. You're hitting snooze because you don't want to wake up because you don't love what you're doing. You're hitting snooze. You're scrolling on social media. You're watching Netflix. There is this distracted time in your day that is not being intentionally spent to actually create this one life, because this is all you get. Ain't a dress rehearsal, y'all. This one life that you get. There's this distracted time in your day that is not being spent intentionally. And if you do that for an hour a day, every day for a year, it winds up to 2 months out of the 12. Now, if someone said to you, you've got 2 months to live, what would you do with that time? And why does that change what you would do with it now with someone not saying that to you? Why aren't you living as if tomorrow might be it? Because guess what? Tomorrow might be it. I'm going to tell you this story. It's a little bit morbid, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway because I think you need to hear it. I was telling this to my team last week. So, my daughter is on... Did I tell you this already? I don't think I did. I think I just told my team. My daughter's on cruise ship. She's a character performer on a cruise ship. Last weekend, I think 2 weekends ago, she said they were at one of the islands and they were supposed to have left by 4 or 5. And at 8 p.m. they were still sitting there. They hadn't left. Come to find out they hadn't left because a gentleman had come on the ship on Friday and on Saturday had a heart attack and passed away on the ship. And had to then, they had to bring a helicopter in and they had to take him off, and I'm sure his family had to leave. Take that in for a minute, as morbid as that is. He got on a cruise ship on Friday, set to have an amazing weekend, make memories probably with his family, have experiences that maybe they'd planned for, they'd waited for. Got on that ship on Friday. On Saturday had a heart attack and was taken off the ship in a body bag by helicopter. Take that in. You woke up on this Monday morning. You have the blessing of this day on this Monday morning. You're on this side of the earth. You woke up on this Monday morning. Please don't spend one more second of your day doing something you don't love, not changing something. Please don't spend one more second of your day going into a job that you hate without making a change, a life that you don't love and aren't excited about without making a change. Please don't spend an hour of your day distracted by the snooze, by social media, by Netflix, by whatever, without some intentionality and purpose, losing 2 months of your year to that, not knowing if tomorrow might be it. Maybe that feels a little bit morbid, but sometimes you got to hear that to remember that what we have today is what we have today. And what we're not changing, we're choosing. So on this Monday, halfway through November, let it be a gut check to you. Are you loving what you're doing every day? Are you excited about what you're doing every day? And if you're not, you're in charge of that mentally and physically in terms of your environment, but also mentally. Maybe the change that needs to happen today is just in you. And then maybe the change that needs to happen is outside. But it always starts with us. It always starts with us. Are you losing time to distraction? And if so, where can you start to cut into that and cut that back? Where can you get more intentional and present with your day, with your time, with your life? Let today be that gut check for you, because you got about 6 weeks left of this year. You hope you wake up tomorrow. What are you doing pressing snooze? If you wake up tomorrow and you press snooze, what? Because you don't know if you're going to wake up the next day. So let's get after this day. Let's be grateful for this day. Let's be excited about this day. And what we're not changing that isn't vibing with us, we're choosing. So the beautiful thing about that is those choices are in your power. And choices and habits, they take no talent. So whatever you need, whatever changes you need to make, you can do it because you already have within you what you need. So let's get after it on this Monday. Yes? Thanks for being on Energize Live. I love that every time we turn this on, we have these awesome conversations and you're here for it. And I know that if you're starting your day with these kinds of conversations and this kind of high vibe tribe, that you're my kind of person. And you are on a mission to level up your life. So let's get after it today. Happy Monday.